Hey there, how's it going? Jed Barker here with Best Life Mortgage. I'm doing another live on Facebook today. I wanted to just talk to everyone about a topic and get a recording on here so I could share it with people afterwards. What I'm essentially going to talk about today, if I can go over here, is the path to homeownership, really. Um, and what I wanted to do is I get a lot of questions asked of me when I'm going talking to a brand new person about a home loan. See, most people that are applying for a home loan, they haven't done it a lot of times. Some people, it's their very first time to get a home loan or to apply and get approved for a home loan. Others, they may have owned a home for the last 20 years, but the last time they applied for a home loan was 20 years ago. So although they're a very experienced homeowner, the home application and the home loan process is just it's foreign to them because they've only done it once or twice. And then I do talk to some people who essentially have, they're investors and they've done this a lot and they understand that. So today I'm mostly talking to those who have only done a home loan, maybe never, or maybe a few times in the last how many years, since they've essentially since they've been buying homes or homes for themselves and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is we'll label this your path to home ownership today. And I'll go through this just simply. I'll keep it very simple and short, but just go through that process of what is it like to work with a loan officer. So I'm a loan officer, also a mortgage broker. I'm one of the founders of Best Life Mortgage, and I'm a very active loan officer. So I help people through that process. So what I'd like to do is just sort of talk about that process today and how it looks, everything like that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about the life of a loan. So I open up the screen just a little bit here. And if you look at this, just a big overview, there's a lot of steps involved in a home loan process. The really cool thing is that when you work with a loan officer, your loan officer knows all those steps. So you don't have to know them beforehand. You don't have to memorize them and everything like that. Your mortgage broker, your loan officer, they already know those steps, so they can guide you through. And so that's really what I see myself as a guide for home ownership in the loan process for those who would like to get a loan. And about 80% of people who buy homes, I believe, apply for loans and do home loans. And home loans are a wonderful thing to have so that we can obtain properties, using other people's money, and then pay that loan back over time and stuff like that. So this right here is the steps to a home loan. I call it the life of the loan. And these are some of the steps I'm going to talk about today, in that home loan process. The first thing I want to do, though, before I get in the application, is I want to talk about the discovery call. So, what I like to do as a loan officer and a mortgage broker is I like to have a phone call initially or a discovery meeting in person with my clients, the people I'm going to be serving, I'm going to be supporting. And during that call, what I do is I like to ask questions and listen. And so some of the questions I like to ask is, have you gone through the loan application process before, and how do you understand it? And I like to understand sort of where they're at with that. I like to ask them, what your goals are for home ownership. Is that something that you've been wanting to do for a while? Do you own a home already? Is this going to be a second home? Is this going to be an investment property? Are you ready to buy now? Is it going to be in the future? What are your goals for that? I also like to get into other financial questions to see how financially prepared someone is. But most importantly, during that call, I like to listen and ask people what questions they have because everyone has some questions. And as a loan officer, what I like to do before anything gets done, before an application gets started or anything gets started on my side, is have a discovery meeting so I can truly understand the needs and also the wants of the person. So that's the very first part of the home loan process is a discovery call to really understand each other. And in that process, what I'm doing too, with my clients is I'm essentially getting to know them, they're getting to know me, and we're seeing how we jive. Like, do we jive? Do we think we would work well together, and stuff like that. So that's sort of what we're doing during that process. After that is over, if it goes well and we think it's a winner, we can work together. They've liked the conversation, I've liked the conversation. The next step is to do an application. The cool thing is that an application, it's super simple. It only takes about 10 to 15 minutes. If you do it over the phone with me, I would ask you questions. I have an online portal. Most people do, where you can fill an application out online. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes to do that application. What's inside the application is pretty simple. We always ask for 2 years of address history, like where have you lived for the last 2 years? That's for identification information. 2 years of employment history. Where have you worked? Some people ask me, do I have to have the same job for 2 years in order to get a home loan? Answer is no, you don't. You could have just started your job. You could actually have not even actually started your job. You could just have an offer letter and you can get a home loan. The important thing is that you have 2-year history of employment and that is consistent. Because what a lender is looking for is they're looking for consistency, and they're looking for, basically to make sure the person who is applying is a good bet, and that's what the lenders are looking for. So it's 2 years of work history. What else are they looking for on the application? They're looking for assets. Does the person buying the home have enough assets or cash to close, and get a mortgage? So those are things like down payment, closing costs, stuff like that. So on the application, you would list, your banks you bank with, and how much funds you have in there. Maybe you're getting a gift, so you'd list, hey, I'm getting a gift actually, and this is the portion of the gift. Or maybe it's in my 401k and it's going to come out. But very simply, you're going to list your assets that you have so you can close on your loan. And in addition to that, on the application, there's a liability section. So that's where you would list your liabilities. And I mean, like your loans. Do you have an auto loan, a car loan, like that kind of thing, right? Do you have a student loan or a private loan? Do you have like other properties you own already with mortgages on them? Those kind of things, right? So we're looking for that, because really what we want to do is we want to know, we want to get a really good picture of the income and a really good picture of the current debt, so we can do ratio calculations and determine how much a person can be pre-approved for, right? So essentially, that the application process is that. After the application's done, what I do is I review it. So I go through page by page. I review the income. I review the asset information, and everything that's stated in there, I take it for face value. I say, hey, if it says this much income, I'll take that. If it says this much assets, I'll take that. And I take that information now and I do some initial calculations so that I can essentially tell my clients and share with them what they could be approved for based off of what they've told me. And then my next step is to essentially request documents, so that I can get the documents I need. Because as a loan guy, what I'll do is I'll review documents, and I'll review like pay stubs, and I'll review W-2s, and I'll review bank statements and everything like that. I'll also review like a credit report, and I'll take all that information and I'll work together with that. And then at that point, I'll be able to issue the actual pre-approval, right? And so the cool thing now these days is all of that can be done electronically, and it's so easy. So I have systems that we use at Best Life, and most lenders would, where we take the information, we input it into the right system, and we run what's called automated findings. So the system says, hey, our borrowers are approved for this or that. And we try to keep it as simple and streamlined as possible. And approval, typically for me and our company here at Best Life, it should only take, from the time an application is done and the documents are submitted, should only take just a little while to get a full pre-approval out, to you and stuff like that. And so for me, if I have a client who's like, hey, I need to get a pre-approval, I got an offer on a home, we could do that super fast within like a half hour. Some clients and borrowers, they might take a little longer to get us documents. So that might just be a little bit longer that it takes, right? So we work together as a team. Me and my borrowers, we're a team, right? So I will express, what I need, and my clients express what they need. And as long as we're working as a team, then things go really smooth and really fast, right? And so that's how that works. So the application process and the documentation needed, that's what I figure out. You don't need to really figure that out on your side and say, oh, I don't know if I have everything. Just let your loan officer or your mortgage broker figure out what you need, and we'll ask for it. And we'll ask for it typically through an online portal, so you can make it really easy to upload and everything like that. One of the things that I like to do is I like to build confidence in sellers, right? Because people that are buying homes, they get to choose who they sell their home to, right? And there's a lot of buyers in the market, so they get to choose who they sell their home to. So we want to put together a really solid, strong pre-approval with a nice letter. And then in addition to that, I like to call the seller agent that's listing that house and let them know how strong of a client we have, why they're a good bet for their seller, why it's going to be a great fit for them, and see how that goes. So that's one thing we always like to do, is call that listing agent and make sure that happens as far as that goes. Okay. Um, let's skip down here. Let's talk a little bit about working with a team. Um, when you're working with the right team, things go way smoother. And so who's part of this team, this home loan team? In my mind, it's you. You're the most important person, the buyer, right? You're super important. You're part of that team. Sellers are actually part of the team too. They might be on the other side of the team, but they're part of this. They're part of this team. We need to work together, and we need to really work together. There's a realtor or two typically that are involved on listing and on the buyer's side, and they're super valuable to you on buying a home, understanding how to do it, negotiating the best price for it. If you're selling a home, negotiating the best cost for yourself and the price to sell. But that real estate agent is one of the most important parts of your team when you're thinking about purchasing a home. I'm an important part of the team as a loan officer. I understand the process well. I can take a loan from start to finish. That's why they call me Jedi at light speed. And we want to have that, right? We want to have that in the process. Who else is part of the team? Well, you have your buyer, your seller's agent, your buyer's agent, your actual seller, so we're all part of the team. And then myself, I help manage other people on that team, such as an appraiser. They're part of that team. We need to manage them a little bit. We have an attorney and a title company. They're part of the team. We want to manage that properly, stuff like that. We have home inspectors. They're part of the team as well, right? So we want to manage that properly. The really cool thing is as a buyer, if you have the right team, most importantly, your buyer's agent, which is your realtor, your loan officer, and your people, your agent and your loan officer, they can manage the other people on the team, so you don't have to deal with that very much. It's just sort of in the background and we're dealing with it. So I hope that makes sense to you as far as that goes. So it's super important to have the right team. So the next step in the process that we do is we submit it to processing. So once you get an offer accepted when you purchase a home or you're refinancing, if you don't have a purchase, what we do is we submit the loan to processing. And so we have a great team of people who processes loans, stuff like that. So it goes into processing. And then what happens is that loan goes into underwriting. Okay, so it goes into underwriting. What does an underwriter do on it? The underwriter actually, what they do is they go through all the documents that a loan officer like myself has reviewed, and they review them again, and they review them from an underwriter's perspective. So why is it so important to have a really good loan officer or a really good mortgage broker? Because if you have a really good experienced mortgage broker and loan officer on your team, they have reviewed your documents already. They've gone through all the guidelines. They have you approved, pre-approved, right? There's a difference, pre-approved and approved, right? But they've done that so that when your loan goes into an underwriter, it's not a question of whether or not you'll get approved or not, because your loan officer's already done the job to get you approved because they understand the business, right? So I rarely ever, I mean, I can't even think of the last time that we've submitted a loan to the underwriting team and it hasn't got approved, because we underwrite those files beforehand so that when you have a pre-approval letter, it's a good pre-approval letter. You're not wondering if it's going to be approved by an underwriter, right? And so, but it does have to get reviewed though, because the underwriters are the ones who actually approve the loans. We just do a pre-approval as a mortgage broker. So you go in, you get a pre-approval done, right? That's that next step, is to go in and get a pre-approval. Once you get your approval, it's called conditional approval. That means it's gone through underwriting, and now you're like, hey, we're approved by an underwriter. Now we're going to go do everything else we need to do to get this loan through and all the way to closing. And there's a lot of steps involved there. But the cool thing is for you as the buyer is you don't have to do all that stuff. Your realtor does a lot of that, and your loan officer does everything else. And what we're doing as realtors and loan officers, when we work together as an awesome team, is we're managing all those other players for you, so that you don't have to manage them yourselves. And like I said, that's like the title company, the attorney, the inspectors, the appraisal guys and girls and stuff like that. So we're managing all of that. Okay. So that's conditional approval, which we just talked about right now. Then we go to loan process, and we talked about that. And so what's the next step in that? Once you've got conditional approval, you got to get like an appraisal done. And then your home inspection is going to happen. Um, you're going to get title work done on the home. Everything, all that stuff's getting done. And like I said, the cool thing is it's all getting managed by the people you've hired to do this job for you, which is your loan guy or girl and your realtor. They're managing this for you to make it simple. In my opinion, when I think about this, if they're doing their job right, you're not getting bombarded with stress. It's pretty much, virtually stress-free transaction. Now you might be a little stressed out about buying a home, that's fine, but then at least you'll have someone to lean on with questions and concerns. Realtors are, great realtor partners of mine. They do an amazing job with that. I do a good job with that to help you out there. And we help manage that sort of stress of doing that purchase, that kind of thing. Right. So what's the next step after essentially you've gotten your final, all that stuff's done, like the appraisal, the title work, and you've gone through that 15 to 30-day process? Well, you get a clear to close. And in our industry, for clear to close, we are celebrating that, right? Like, it's like we've done all these steps, we've worked with all these different people, and the bank and the lender has now said, you know what, final stamp of approval, you are clear to close. You're good to go on this. The funds will be there on closing day. You'll get the keys. Everyone's going to be happy. The seller's getting paid, the buyer's getting the home, and everyone else is happy, right? So that's a good day right there. That usually takes anywhere from a clear to close. Usually takes us at Best Life Mortgage and how I run my business anywhere from 12 to 20 days. That's what we try to do. I like to get my clear to close about a week before actual closing. I like to get my closing disclosure out in about a week before closing, if not a lot sooner. We have a lot of ways to do that. When I got into the industry, I had already purchased about 9 or 10 homes of my own. And I found I was always getting a clear to close like days before closing. It was stressful. And so I wanted to change things up and get them super fast and really live up to my name, Jedi, and that work at light speed, right? And so that's what I really shoot for. I want happy customers that are stress-free. So that's what we go for. And I know that's what my realtor partners want too, stuff like that. So it makes everybody happy. So next thing I want to really talk to you about here is the Best Life mission. I'm going to sort of wrap this up now, but the Best Life mission. I'm going to go to this page here. What is our mission? Sort of explain it to you. So, number one on the left-hand side is providing our clients with first-class financing experiences, right? That inspires referral and repeat business for years to come. I'm looking at making long-term relationships in my business that I can really be a mortgage advisor. The mortgage instrument is a financial product. So I also work with financial advisors very closely at times. I also part of our team, but we make sure that we're building good relationships that last a lifetime. That's what we're looking for. Number two, we're empowering our team to adopt and embody the growth mindset so they become the best versions of themselves. So we have Best Life Mortgage. We call ourselves Best Life, not just because we're doing the best experience for our clients, not just because we're offering best products, we're doing best service, but because we believe that we're improving the life of those who work in our company the best way possible. So we are a coaching company, very much so. We do a lot of coaching and mindset training and a lot of great things for our employees. And so that's what we work towards, is really empowering people to live their best life so that families can live their best lives and they can give the best life experience to their clients. The last thing on here is our heart mission at Best Life Mortgage is to put a stop to human trafficking. Specifically children's human trafficking. It's a huge, horrendous problem in the world. And we've decided to make that our mission. 10% of our profits go to stop human trafficking. We're connected with a company called Destiny Rescue. We donate funds to them, and they have an amazing organization that rescues children, rehabilitates children, and gets them on a path to success in their life. So for about every 7 loans we close, one child is funded for liberation from human and sex trafficking. And we're so very thankful for our clients to come on board with that and our partners, and especially for Destiny Rescue, who also has come on board with that. So we could help us change the world by doing that. We believe in creating the best life experience. We're blessed to be a blessing, not just to raise our standard of living, but to raise our standard of giving. In other words, we're called to be a light in the darkness to make the world a better place. That's why we donate 10% of our profits to liberate kids out of the shackles of human trafficking and to give them a new life filled with hope, freedom, and dignity. So help us change the world. So I hope you've enjoyed that, guys. That's a big part of what we do here at Best Life. We're doing loans, we're creating change, we're changing lives, and we're helping people and giving them a good, fast experience on that side. So I appreciate that. I hope this was just a good experience for you on that side. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now, and we'll get back at this. But take care. I do want to mention I'm wearing my hat today, my American U.S. flag hat. I'm doing that today because I want to celebrate veterans. They've done a lot to change the course of not just the U.S. history, but the world, to liberate many people into freedom around the world, for the veterans. So I do want to celebrate them. So thanks, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.